Study Session 1. Nature of Groups. Introduction. In this study session, we will examine the meaning of a group and its properties. We will also discuss the various types of a group and their functions. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this session, you should be able to 1. Define and use correctly the term group. 2. Describe 5 properties of a group. Meaning of a group. A group simply refers to a collection of people characterized by definable membership, group consciousness, and a sense of shared purpose. According to Shaw, 1981, a group refers to 2 or more people who interact and influence one another. It refers to 2 or more people who for longer than a few moments interact with and influence one another and perceive one another as us. Myers, 1993. Groups are always essential to human life. For instance, our primal ancestors protected themselves from dangerous animals, human enemies, and disasters by joining together in groups. Religious rites, too, have traditionally been group activities. Zander, 1985. Scaffer and Lamb, 1995, defined a group to mean any number of people with similar norms, values, and expectations who regularly and consciously interact. A group, according to Frost, 1999, refers to 2 or more interdependent individuals who influence one another through social interaction. The above definitions point to the fact that members of the group have relationships to one another that make them interdependent to some significant degree. Properties of groups. Every group is unique in some ways, but 2 groups are never the same. Therefore, when we study a group, we must go beyond its unique qualities by considering characteristics common to most groups. These are interaction, structure, cohesiveness, social identity, and goals. Interaction. Group members do things to and with each other. Group interaction comes in many guises, but much of the interaction revolves around the tasks the group must accomplish. For instance, in most groups, members must coordinate their various skills, resources, and motivation so that the groups can make a decision, generate a product, or achieve a victory. Other interactions come from the interpersonal or social-emotional side of a group life. In brackets, for instance, if any member of a group, artist, teacher, and so on, need financial support, the others will buy or raise him up with kind words or money. Bracket closed. Structure. This is another property common to most groups. In every group, there is a structure, which is a stable pattern of relationships among members. The structure entails roles and norms. This specifies the general behavior expected of people who will occupy different positions within the group. The roles of a leader and follower are fundamental ones in many groups. However, roles like information seeker, information giver, elaborator, encourager, procedural technician, compromiser, and harmonizer may emerge in any group. Salazar, 1996. Group cohesion. The strength of the bonds linking members to one another and to their group is what is known as its group cohesion. This defines the unity, oneness, and solidarity of the group. Groups vary in their level of cohesiveness. However, all groups require some modicum of cohesiveness, or else the group would disintegrate and cease to exist as a group. It should be mentioned here that increase in cohesiveness generally implies increase in the group's capacity to retain its members. Therefore, every group must ensure that the bonds linking its members together are very strong. Social identity. This amounts to a shared perception of the individuals as members of the same group or social category. Social identity is also called collective identity. This includes all self-conceptions that arise from membership in all kinds of social groups, including clubs, cliques, communities, and religions. Forsyth, 1999, regarded social identity as a part of self-concept that derives from one's membership in social groups and categories, and as self-conceptions shared by members of the same group or category. Therefore, in any meaningful group, members should have a sense of belonging to the group and easily identify with it. Goals. Groups usually exist for a reason. For instance, artists want recognition for their works. Doctors, nurses, social workers all come together as professionals to review patients' cases and so on. In each case, members of the group are united in their pursuit of common goals, bracket open, e.g., generating ideas or plans, solving a problem, resolving a conflict, making decisions, forming judgments, etc., brackets closed. A goal is an end towards which an individual or group of people is working. Zastro, 2001. It is an ideal or desired achievement that people value. A personal goal is a goal held by a member of a group, while a group goal is one held by enough members of the group that the group can be working toward achieving it. All groups have goals, and every individual who joins a group has personal goals. Groups generally have both short-range and long-range goals. The short-range goals are usually stepping stones to the longer-range goals. Types and functions of groups. Primary or small groups. Charles Hurton Colley, 1902, coined the term primary groups to refer to a small group characterized by intimate, face-to-face association and cooperation, e.g., members of a family living in the same household or members of a street's gang. Skyfer and Lamb, 1995. Primary group, e.g. the family, plays a pivotal role both in the socialization process and in the development of roles and status. Indeed, primary group can be instrumental in a person's day-to-day existence. Secondary or large groups. This refers to a formal impersonal group in which there is little social intimacy or mutual understanding. Examples of secondary groups include institutional groups like colleges, universities, agencies, organizations, and so on. Secondary groups are large and perform complex functions. Reference groups. These are groups which individuals use as a standard for evaluating themselves and their own behavior. For example, a high school student who aspires to join the Kegite Club will pattern his or her behavior after that of the group. He will start dressing like Kegites, singing their songs, and dancing like them. Reference groups have two basic purposes. They serve a normative function by setting and enforcing standards of conduct and belief. They also perform a comparison function by setting a standard against which people can measure themselves and others. For instance, a student social worker can evaluate himself or herself against a reference group composed of professional social workers or social work educators, field supervisors, and so on. In many cases, people model their behavior after groups to which they do not belong. Thus, student social workers can model their behaviors after those of the student nurses, medical students, and others. It is important, therefore, to recognize that individuals are often influenced by two or more reference groups at the same time. Self-help groups. These are groups that aim at helping individuals in difficulties and in overcoming them. Self-help groups constitute one alternative to coping alone by assisting members to meet their specific needs through the understanding and help of others who have had similar experience. Self-help groups are diverse. Some are small, grassroots affiliation, unrelated to external structures. Others are part of large, well-organized national organization. Zastro, 2001. Self-help groups can be regarded as a support system, a social movement, a spiritual movement, and secular religion, as an alternative caregiving system, adjunct to professional helping systems, and as an organization of the deviant and stigmatized. They consist of people who share common conditions, experiences, or problematic situations. For instance, obesity, alcoholism, mental illness, child abuse, rape, single parents, etc., and mutually seek to assist each other to enhance their coping capacities related to their common factors. Hepworth and Lawson, 1993. When people help each other in self-help groups, they tend to feel empowered as they are able to control important aspects of their lives. Empowerment increases motivation, energy, personal growth, and an ability to help that goes beyond helping oneself and receiving help. Self-help groups tend to be self-supporting and thrives largely on donations from friends and relatives than on government funds, foundation grants, or fees from public. Forsyth, 1999. Gave few examples of self-help group as follows. A. Anti-addiction group, e.g., Alcoholics Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Weight Watchers, etc. B. Family support group, e.g., adult children of alcoholics. C. Medical and rehabilitation group, e.g., National Bell's Palsy online support group, Cancer Aftercare Rehabilitation Society, etc. D. General social support group, e.g., Association of the Childless and Child-Free, Parents without partners. Therapeutic groups. These are groups that help in improving the psychological adjustment and social relations of individuals or members of the group. They provide members with information, support, and guidance, thereby ensuring that their personal and interpersonal problems are resolved when confronted in a group rather than alone. Such groups include psychoanalytic groups. It is a kind of group in which the individual is helped to overcome his inner problems or unconscious conflicts. This is based on Freud's psychoanalytic principles of free association, transference, and interpretation. In such groups, the therapist is very much the leader, for he directs the group's discussion during the session, offers interpretations, and summarizes the group's efforts. Most psychoanalytic groups adhere to the principle of shifting attention, whereby the therapist shifts their focus from one client individual to the next during the course of a single group session. The shift offers each patient to assume different roles, e.g., acting as patient seeking help, observer of others' problems, or help by giving counsel to a fellow group. The group setting allows each patient to walk through problems that result from early family conflicts. He or she is helped to gain insight into his or her problem and use the experience gained to solve it. Gestalt groups. This is another kind of therapeutic groups. The groups from the core of Gestalt group therapy. It is a kind of group that helps people overcome their emotional difficulties or behavioral problems. In this group, members observe one another's work, but they do not interact. More frequently, however, interaction takes place among group members, with the therapists actively orchestrating the events. In this group, the therapists often rely on experiments, which are exercises designed to stimulate emotional understanding. For instance, when a hot seat method is used, one person in the group sits in the center of the room and publicly works through his emotional experiences. The empty chair method involves imagining that another person or a part of oneself is sitting in an empty chair and then carrying on a dialogue with the person. The above two methods are powerful as individuals often become emotional during the session. There is a great difficulty in trying to understand the emotional experiences of another person. Hence, therapists usually resist interpretations to the patient. Cognitive behavioral therapy groups. These are groups which help members to overcome their negative thinking, self-defeating statements, and other sorts of cognitive distortions. The groups are therapeutic groups which help in the treatment of interpersonal and psychological problems through the application of behavioral principles, e.g., reinforcement, in a group setting. Consultation groups. This refers to groups that deal more effectively with the interplay of complex forces in a large system. They are very useful when there is a division of labor within an institution among consultees on the same or different professions with respect to a particular group of clients. An example of this group is of consultation with school administrators, guidance personnel, teachers in secondary schools concerning students' problems. Group consultation can be used to reduce isolation, and this has useful effects on the consultees and the whole community. Health and educational groups. The special educational efforts of self-help groups help the professionals in providing useful services to the community. Both the health and educational groups act in advisory or policy-setting capacity in relation to the professional staff and also interpret their work to the community. The groups keep the public informed about the health services available to the community and also educate them about various health programs like immunizations for pregnant women, nursing mothers, and their babies or infants, and so on. The groups educate the public on how to remain healthy, prevent or eradicate diseases, control communicable diseases, enhance physical and mental health, prevent mental illness, avoiding drugs, alcohol, etc., and shun unprotected sexual intercourse. Remedial groups. These are groups that help members change their behavior, cope with or ameliorate their personal problems, or rehabilitate themselves after a social or health trauma, e.g., a drug addiction group. Socialization groups. These are groups designed to improve interpersonal relationships or social skills through programmed activities, structured exercises, role plays, and the like. For instance, a social club for ex-mental patients. Educational groups. Groups that have the primary purpose of helping members to learn about themselves and their society, e.g., an adolescent sexuality group. Educational groups also teach specialized skills and knowledge such as classes on child training, stress management, parenting, and assertiveness training. Orientations offered by social service organizations to train volunteers fall into this category as well. Educational groups usually have a classroom atmosphere involving considerable group interaction and discussion, which is led by a professional person with experience in the area, e.g., a social worker. Creation or skill building groups. Creational groups may be informal recreational groups or skill building recreational groups. A recreational group service agency such as Young Men's Christian Association, YMCA, Young Women's Christian Association, YWCA, or Neighborhood Center may offer little or more than physical space and the use of equipment to provide activities for enjoyment and exercise. These are in form of playground games and informal athletics. Their objectives are to build character and prevent delinquency among youths by providing an alternative to street life. The skill building recreational group has an increased focus on tasks and is guided by an advisor, coach, or instructor. Its objective is to improve a set of skills in an enjoyable way. Examples of activities include arts and crafts, and sports like golf, basketball, swimming, and so on, which may develop into competitive team with leagues. These groups are frequently led by professionals with recreational training, not social workers. And the agencies involved include YMCA, YWCA, Boy Scouts, neighborhood centers, and school recreational departments. Other groups. Several other groups relevant to social work practice include sensitivity and encounter training groups, training groups, task groups, focus groups, problem-solving and decision-making groups, boards, advisory committees, citizen groups, and research groups. Study session summary. In this study session, you learned that a group is the collection of people characterized by definable membership, group consciousness, and a sense of shared purpose. We also examined properties of a group, the various types of groups, and their functions. End of study session 1. Thanks for listening.